So, I like to keep them honest here, as they say at CNN. We're not playing the partisan game of rooting for one horrible candidate over another horrible candidate. In fact, our theories about it, that voting neoliberalism this election is worse than ever because right now the Republican Party is falling apart, fracturing, and we've talked all about this. This is the year to start a progressive movement. But when I see stuff like this, ThinkProgress tweets out, a Trump presidency is a clean energy nightmare. And then they have an article about it, which I didn't bother to read because Trump's not going to be president. And so it's like, yeah, and so would Hillary Clinton's. I get it. Yes, I'm sure Trump's presidency would be a nightmare for climate change. So is Hillary Clinton's. I don't think people realize how far past we've passed the tipping point. The Copenhagen agreement, people said that was a travesty and they wanted to keep it at 2 degrees Celsius climate increase. And then the Paris one is even worse. They said 3. It's over already. It's already over. Figure out how you're going to die because climate change is here. And we have no rational response to it. Governments have no rational response. So I just put that I want to defend fracking, which is what she said in released WikiLeaks. She said that to her speeches that got released through the WikiLeaks, right? So we know she said that. I want to defend fracking. And so I tweeted that. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is to just show you how brainwashed regular people are. Just how they just regurgitate talking points handed to them by the corporate duopoly that is now in control of our elections. They just repeat it, and without they don't go away. Hey, this is the conventional. This is groupthink. I wonder if there's anything. Like for instance, this is that same somebody right underneath that said, "Dude, we know Hillary is bad. We're voting for her because airplanes would fall from the sky with Trump." So you're just going to invent crazy things about trust. So what I said to that was, meanwhile, we're bombing Yemen now. Democratic president is pushing the TPP and he's jailing journalists. But this seems rational. So that's exactly, if you were going to concoct a conspiracy to distract people from the most horrible shit in the world, you would create Donald Trump. And maybe the Democrats got lucky that he just came along, but they certainly helped it. The WikiLeaks are also revealing that the Clintons knew Trump would help them, and they pushed it. And that's exactly what's happening. All this horrible shit that's happening, and everybody's talking about Trump. Oh, did you see Michelle's speech about Trump? Hey, did you know we're poisoning kids in Flint with lead? Do you know they're already poisoned? Already? You know your husband is now drone bombing weddings? So I'm getting off the track a little bit. This is to show you how mental regular people are. And we all know that the comedians and the pundits who used to be considered lefty, who are now propping up a corporatist warmonger who's turned her back on the climate and her own country and workers, those people who are doing that, I don't know how to look them in the eye anymore, but they're going to keep doing this excusing horribleness. Have they been manipulated, or is there something wrong with their brains? I don't know. But anybody who can defend Hillary Clinton they're either getting paid or they're brainwashed. And that's I'm going to say that guy's brainwashed. Oh, because Trump, the planes would fall from the sky. To me, that actually sounds like maybe that guy is joking. Like, no, we have to vote for Trump because planes would fall from the sky, right? Isn't that what everybody says? Right? That sounds to me, maybe that's what that guy was saying, Ramon. Good for you, Ramon. I'm going to turn it around. He was probably right. And then, right underneath Ramon, right underneath that, this is just showing, this is what I'm talking about. It's not random. This is in the same thread. Right underneath. This woman says, a third-party vote goes nowhere. And she somehow spaces out nowhere, so it's bigger. A third-party vote goes nowhere. Well, what I said to that woman was, two-party vote goes to more war, more fracking, more Goldman Sachs deregulation, trillion-dollar bailouts. Congrats. But a third-party vote goes nowhere. What if a lot of people voted third-party? Would it still go nowhere? Or does it go nowhere because people like you keep saying don't vote third-party? If everybody who said don't vote third-party because it goes nowhere voted third-party, we'd probably win the election. You know, more people consider themselves independent than consider themselves Republican or Democrat. So if everybody voted their conscience this election, we could get rid of these two parties. But people won't do it. Why? Because you're brainwashed. That's why. Because people don't have a problem regurgitating corporate talking points handed to them by warmongers. They don't mind doing that. That's exactly what you're doing. John Oliver's doing it. Half the comedians, 90% of the comedians I know are doing it. You're propping up the fucking thing that's ruining everybody. Here, we're going to keep going. And then this guy says, by the way, this is the same thread. This guy says, I think the irrational thing might be to think voting Stein has any effect on this machine. Okay, so here we go. Here's what I said back. I can tell you for sure what doesn't have any effect on the machine, pledging your vote in support to the machine. So this idea that people have, you hear it from everywhere. People who, you hear it from grown-ups. Grown-ups who say, no, I'm voting for Hillary, and then, and then we're going to move her left. Which may be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Can you get her to go left before you vote for her? No, but you're going to get her to go left after she doesn't need your vote anymore? Yeah. That may be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But that's right up there with compassionate conservatism. That's right up there. The way you get a politician to try to cotton to your ideas is to say you're not voting for them. And then here's another one. The only issue with me voting third party is that this is all in the same thing, is that the candidates can't tell me reasonable ways to follow through with policies. So I would vote third party, but they don't show me a reasonable way where they can follow through on their policies. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pledge my support to the person who knows how to follow through on policies, the policies that I oppose. What is wrong with people? What is wrong? That doesn't take me a second to think of that. All these things, you don't have to. So this is just people repeating right-wing, not right-wing. This is corporate talking points handed down to you by the electoral duopoly. And you just say them. And you just accept it. The only thing Hillary Clinton and the corporatists have to offer you is fear. This is what Chris Hedges says. The only thing they have to offer you is fear. You got to vote for them because where else are you going to go? You're going to go to Trump? Ha, ha, ha. As soon as you stop being afraid, that's when they get afraid. That's what Chris Hedges said. And remember what George Orwell said. A people that elect corrupt politicians, imposters, thieves, and traitors are not victims, but accomplices. Think about that. People that elect corrupt politicians, imposters, thieves, and traitors are not victims, but they're accomplices. And I would rather vote for somebody who reflected my ideals and lost than vote for somebody who doesn't represent me and wins. And that's what Deb said. It's a sad state what's happening in America to the mind of the American left voter. They completely swallowed the corporate talking points handed to them by people whose interest it is in keeping a two-party duopoly.